What happens when a royal demands respect but a major TV event refuses to play along? You're about to witness a moment that shattered royal ego on live television. Before we unpack this jaw-dropping meltdown, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments, was Prince Harry disrespected or did he overreact? You won't believe how this one ends. The Dorian TV Awards have always been different. They are not just another glitzy ceremony with red carpets and rehearsed speeches. They celebrate boldness, creativity, and truth in television. Over the years, they have welcomed everyone from underground indie creators to A-list Hollywood legends. There is a reason people tune in. The Dorian Awards do not play by the same rules as traditional shows. They have their own flavor, their own rhythm, and most importantly, they treat every guest the same. Whether you are a rising star or a household name, the spotlight is shared equally. That is part of their charm. That year, the buzz was bigger than ever. The producers had landed someone who would grab headlines before he even stepped on stage. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, had accepted an invitation to present the award for Best Documentary Series. With his recent jump into the world of television and his work on high-profile documentaries for Netflix, it made perfect sense. He was no longer just royalty. He was a producer, a public speaker, and a public figure in a very different way. His involvement brought a royal touch to a night focused on powerful storytelling. It was a major booking for the Dorians, and the audience was ready for it. The lights inside the auditorium were brilliant and warm. Cameras panned across the crowd of celebrities and industry icons. Photographers snapped shots from the sidelines. The host, Victoria Sterling, stood at the podium, prepared to keep the show moving with her usual mix of poise and honesty. Everything was in place. The energy in the room buzzed with excitement. People whispered about who would win, what surprise guests might appear, and what outrageous moments might go viral by morning. No one had any idea what was about to happen, but something was off. Just slightly. Not enough to stop the show. Not enough to draw attention yet, but in the moments leading up to Prince Harry's appearance, a quiet tension began to ripple backstage. It was like a storm cloud waiting on the edge of the stage, ready to roll in at the worst possible moment. And when the time finally came for Harry to step into the spotlight, that tension would explode in a way no one expected. The night was moving smoothly. The crowd was engaged. Speeches had landed. Laughs had been shared, and a few early winners were already clutching their statues with proud, shaky hands. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Victoria Sterling, polished and confident as always, walked back onto the stage. She smiled at the teleprompter and gave a charming lead. Then she said it. "Please welcome Harry, Duke of Sussex." It was subtle, but the energy in the room shifted. Prince Harry stepped onto the stage, smiling politely, but his body said something else. His jaw was set. His walk was tighter than usual. He did not scan the crowd or wave. He walked straight to the microphone and paused for just a second. Then he looked toward Victoria, who had already stepped off stage, and spoke directly into the mic. "With all due respect, it is Prince Harry. Your Royal Highness." The room froze. There were no gasps, but there was tension. The kind that makes people shift in their seats. The kind that makes the air feel heavier. You could feel the discomfort trickle through the crowd. This was not part of the script. This was not playful or ironic. Harry was serious. His voice was calm, but the words were clear. Some guests looked at each other. Others stared ahead, unsure what they had just witnessed. It was awkward, and the moment stretched a little too long. Then Harry turned back to the microphone and continued, reading from the teleprompter like nothing had happened. But everything had changed. That small correction had opened a crack. A sense of unease had crept into the room, and it would not leave. If you were as shocked as the audience was, pause for a second to hit that subscribe button. These stories are only going to get wilder. Victoria returned to the stage with the same grace she always carried, even in tense moments. She stepped up beside Harry, took the mic gently, and offered a warm smile to both him and the crowd. "Here, at the Dorian Awards," she said, "we honor every guest equally. Whether you are royalty or reality TV, we keep things fair and respectful." She was calm, measured. Her tone was professional but firm. It was clear she was trying to smooth things over without letting it spiral. But Harry was not done. He took a half step toward the mic again and responded quickly. "This is not just a television appearance," he said. "This is me. My life, my name, my title." I did not walk away from the crown to be called just Harry. The room went quiet again, deeper this time. Not curious silence, but uncomfortable silence. Eyes darted around the room. People in the front rows whispered to each other. One camera caught a well-known actor raising their eyebrows in disbelief. Another caught a producer in the wings biting their lip. Harry was not shouting. He was not, emotionally, but the weight of his words landed hard. It was not just about a title anymore. It was about identity, about respect, and about how far he had come from the palace walls. But the room he was in now was not built on hierarchy. It was built on modern rules, on media protocol, and on giving everyone the same stage, no matter their background. Victoria took a breath. She looked at him with empathy but stood firm. "We introduced presidents the same way," she said softly. "No one is above the show, not even those we deeply respect." That line hit differently. It was not meant to insult. It was a boundary, the kind producers have to draw when lines blur between fame, royalty, and the structure of live TV. Harry looked at her. There was a pause. His face shifted, part frustration, part disbelief. The tension had hit its peak, and now everyone in the room could feel it in their chest. The awkwardness was no longer subtle. It was front and center. What started as a quiet moment of correction had now turned into a very public power struggle, and there was no going back. Harry's frustration, which had been simmering just under the surface, finally broke through. His jaw tightened again, but this time, his whole expression shifted. He was no longer trying to keep it composed. He stepped closer to Victoria, not aggressively, but enough that everyone in the room leaned forward a bit. The mic was still live. The cameras were still rolling, but the royal mask was off now. "This is humiliating," he said, sharp and loud enough to cut through the tension. "You brought me here under false pretenses. You wanted the title when it suited your press release, but now, on stage, I am just another guest." Victoria tried to respond, but he kept going. "You used me," he said. "You baited me for your ratings. You wanted the royal headline without showing me the basic respect of using my title." The crowd shifted again. What was once awkward silence turned into full-blown discomfort. A few guests started whispering louder. One well-known comedian actually mouthed "oh no" to someone beside them. Cameras from the broadcast zoomed in, catching Harry's expression, and then quickly cutting to a wide shot to reduce the heat. But it was live. There was no going back. Then came the moment no one expected. Harry pointed, first at Victoria, then toward the crowd. His voice rose with each word. "Do you know who you are talking to?" he asked. That one line hit the entire room like a slap. Everyone froze. Some gasped. Some dropped their heads. Even backstage, the production team stopped calling cues for a second. The control room fell silent. Victoria stood her ground. Her face stayed calm, but there was steel in her posture now. She looked at Harry, then glanced out toward the audience. "We do know," she said. "You are Prince Harry, and this is a show, not a palace." She was not trying to insult him. It was not a dig. It was a line drawn in real time, a way to remind everyone that the rules in this room were not the same as Buckingham Palace. You could see Harry register the words. He blinked a few times, almost in disbelief, but his pride had already taken the wheel. He shook his head, turned to walk off, and muttered something that was picked up faintly by the mic. No one could make it out clearly, but it was enough to send the audience into stunned silence. Victoria stood alone, on stage now, holding the mic gently by her side. The music was delayed. The camera feed scrambled. And just like that, one of the most unexpected moments in award show history unfolded live in front of millions. The room was still tense from the last exchange. Harry had just been reminded that this was not a royal court. This was a television stage, and on this stage, no title came with automatic reverence. But Harry was not ready to let it go. He turned back toward Victoria, no longer shouting but with a sharpness in his tone that cut deeper than volume ever could. He stepped close enough that the mic picked up his words clearly. "You will regret this," he said. "You have crossed a line." It was not a threat in the physical sense. It was emotional, it was personal. It came from a place of bruised pride and deep frustration. In his mind, this was no longer about a missed title. It was about his identity, his worth, and how the world saw him outside the shadow of the monarchy. Victoria stood still. She took a breath. Then came her response. "Respect comes from behavior," she said, calmly but firmly, "not birthright." That hit differently. There was no mocking in her voice, no raised eyebrows, just a steady, human truth that echoed louder than any insult could have. The audience went completely silent. The type of silence that only shows up when two people are saying everything they need to, without screaming. Harry's jaw clenched, but his voice dropped now. He was not trying to dominate. He was trying to control what little dignity he felt was left in the moment. "You set this up," he said. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You wanted to embarrass me in front of everyone." Victoria did not flinch. She did not look angry or smug, just steady. "I gave you the same stage we give every guest," she said. "The rest was up to you." He shook his head, almost as if he was trying to rewrite the moment in real time, trying to understand how it had unraveled so quickly. Victoria looked at him one last time. "Think about what kind of legacy you are building," she said, "and whether moments like this are helping it or hurting it." That landed harder than anything else. Because beneath all the fame, the press, and the titles, legacy was the one thing Harry cared about. It was why he stepped away. It was why he kept fighting to be seen on his own terms. But in this moment, in front of the lights and cameras, it was hard to tell if this outburst was building his story or breaking it. The silence in the room was heavy. You could almost feel it pressing down from the ceiling. Everyone was holding their breath, wondering what would happen next. Harry's face had gone red, his jaw locked tight, his pride was cracked, and now, he was done pretending. Without a word, he reached up and ripped off his mic. The cord snapped slightly as he pulled it free. The sharp movement startled the nearest camera operator. The sound echoed through the speakers. That small act ripping off the mic felt louder than anything he had said so far. "This is a circus," Harry shouted. "And you, Victoria, are a vindictive host hiding behind a fake smile." Gasps rippled through the audience. A few people looked away, not sure whether they should be watching this meltdown unfold. Producers backstage froze. The teleprompter kept running, but nobody was reading it now. Harry started to walk off. He made it to the edge of the stage. But then he stopped. He turned back. His voice was lower now, almost calm. That kind of calm that makes people more nervous than yelling ever could. "History will remember this," he said. "Not me walking off, not this crowd. It will remember the way you chose to treat someone who gave up everything to stand on his own." Victoria stayed seated. She did not blink. She just looked at him with a clear, steady gaze. "History will remember how you acted," she replied. "Right here, right now. No more words, no more sound." The audience sat frozen. Some leaned forward slightly, unsure if this was still part of the show or if they had just witnessed a real fracture in real time. Harry stood there for a second. Then he turned and without looking back again, he walked off stage. The doors closed behind him. The crew did not cut the feed. The cameras were still rolling, but nothing was happening. Victoria sat in silence. No smirk, no comeback. Just a woman who stood her ground while the world watched a man unravel. And in that still moment, it was clear. Victoria took a deep breath. She glanced toward the wings of the stage where Harry had vanished. Then she looked back at the audience, straightened her posture, and leaned slightly toward the camera. "Let us continue celebrating excellence," she said. Her tone was calm, steady, but you could hear a quiet firmness underneath it, the kind that only shows up when someone refuses to let chaos win. The room, still stunned, slowly began to settle. A few hesitant claps turned into a respectful applause. The show picked itself back up and moved forward, but everyone knew the story was already out of the building. Within minutes, clips started flooding social media. That one line, "History will remember this," became a viral soundbite, but it was Victoria's response that people were quoting most. Hashtags took over trending pages. Hashtag Harry Meltdown. Victoria's hashtag Dorian Awards drama. Videos with shaky phone footage of the moment hit millions of views in hours. The debate had begun. Some were furious. They said Harry was disrespected, baited, and humiliated on live television. Others called it entitlement. They said he expected special treatment, and when he did not get it, he stormed off like a child. News anchors picked sides. Tabloids printed headlines before the night was over. Royal watchers filled panels to analyze every second of the footage. Was this the final break between Harry and public favor? Or had he just reminded the world of the burden he carried? Victoria stayed quiet after the show. No interviews, no press, but her closing words stayed with the audience. The message was simple. The stage belongs to those who show up with grace, no matter what name they carry. And through all the noise, one truth echoed louder than anything else. The show must go on. So in the end, what was this really about? Was it a clash over titles and tradition, or something deeper? Maybe it was not about royalty at all. Maybe it was about identity, pride, and how far someone will go when they feel cornered. The question of respect kept coming up. But was it the kind you earn, or the kind you expect without question? That tension between old power and new platforms was on full display. One guest brought centuries of legacy. The other, the weight of public opinion and a live audience. Neither side was willing to back down. Moments like this show how much the world has changed. Royal blood might still carry weight in some places, but a viral clip now speaks louder than a crown. In today's media, how you handle pressure often matters more than your title. And this is not the last time we will see someone unravel under the spotlight. So the real question is, who is next? If you were in Victoria's seat, what would you have said? Would you have stood your ground, or taken a step back? Tell us below, because this conversation is far from over.